Hello everyone, welcome to Sam Science View channel. In today's video, we are going to see about science behind sprinting. Before going into the video, please do check my playlist and do subscribe to my channel and watch this entire video. Now let's get into the video. Knowledge about the physics of running is of particular interest to high level athletes who strive to optimize their performance using a combination of expert coaching and state of the art training facilities. To most people, the physics behind running is hardly given a second thought, but when medals such as Olympic medals are on the line, then such thoughts become commonplace and turn into active areas of research. There has been significant research done in the past on the physics of running, and now I will discuss some of the main aspects of it here. First, let's see about the basic running mechanics. Now, consider the figure showing the profile view of a runner on a flat horizontal surface. The forces are indicated as below. This figure shows the forces acting on a runner when he is pushing off the ground with one of his feet. The force Fx is the horizontal force due to the contact between the runner's foot and the ground, and the force Fy is the vertical force due to the contact between the runner's foot and the ground. The force Fg is the force due to gravity, that is gravitational force, which pulls down on the runner. This force acts through the center of the mass of the runner, represented here with a purple dot. During a run, the force Fy is greater than force Fg in order to lift the runner off the ground as he runs. The force that drives the runner forward is the propulsive force Fx. Running speed is directly related to the magnitude of this force. An Olympic sprinter can push off the ground with a total peak force of more than 1000 pounds, with a time average Fx equal to about 200 pounds, which is less than the peak Fx. In contrast, the average person can apply 500 to 600 pounds of total peak force. According to Peter Weyand, a science professor at Southern Methodist University, during a sprint, the average person's foot is on the ground for about 0.12 seconds, while an Olympic sprinter's foot is on the ground for just 0.08 seconds. He also states that the amount of time that one's legs are off the ground is 0.12 seconds, regardless if you are fast or slow. He also adds that an elite sprinter gets the aerial time they need with less time on the ground to generate that lift or to get back up in the air because they can hit the ground harder. Now we can see a runner run along his center of mass, which follows a parabolic arc in this picture. This parabolic path is formed due to the force of gravity acting on the runner between foot strikes with the ground. These foot strikes propel him through the air in a shallow arc up until the time he lands with his other foot, at which point he pushes off the ground with that foot, which then sends him once more through the air with his center of mass following a parabolic arc. The force that the runner pushes off the ground with serves as an initial launch force, which causes his center of mass to follow a parabolic arc, which can be predicted by Newton's second law, which states force is equal to mass times acceleration, and the equations of projectile motion. So, the greater the force Fx, the greater the horizontal running velocity, and the longer the arc length, hence, the faster the runner will run. And now you can see this picture. Here we can see arms swinging. So, this arm swinging of a sprinter is very important part of running. It serves to stabilize the body. To illustrate this, we can see this picture. As the runner's left foot strikes the ground, he pushes off with the force Fx. This force causes a torque T1 to be exerted on his body, which tends to rotate his torso in the direction shown in this picture. To correct for this rotation, the runner simultaneously swings his arms in the direction shown, which exerts a counter torque T2 on his body, which tends to rotate his torso in the opposite direction. The generation of this counter torque helps keep his body stable and facing forward as he runs. Similarly, when his right foot strikes the ground, the situation reverses, and his arms must swing in the opposite direction to induce a corrective torque, which once more helps keep his body facing forward. Keeping your arms bent while running makes it easier to swing them. Think of a swinging pendulum. A short pendulum is easier to swing than a long pendulum, and by analogy, your arms are easier to swing when they are bent. When we run, we do all this without thinking. It is a completely automatic set of movements. Now, speaking about sprinting in scientific view, sprinting is an extreme form of running requiring a combination of physical and mental attributes that can be honed by intense training. Yet most experts would agree that a world-class sprinter is born rather than made. Let's take an example of Usain Bolt. He is from Jamaica, and studies have shown that African, that is especially West African ancestry, have significantly more having more fast twitch muscle fibers which tire easily but contract more quickly than the slow twitch fibers commonly found in long distance runners. To be a great sprinter, you need leg muscles that are dominated by fast twitch muscle fibers because they shorten the muscle quickly and generate power. Marathon runners have more slow twitch fibers, which is one of the reasons why you are never going to turn Usain Bolt into a good long distance runner, said Professor Steve Harridge of King's College London. Weight training can make fast twitch fibers thicker and stronger, but there is no evidence to suggest that it is possible to convert one type of muscle fiber to another by training alone. Scientists have also found that there are certain natural variants of the gene called ACTN3 that can boost the performance of fast twitch muscle fibers. Again, whether you have the sprint gene or not depends on whether you have inherited it. Some nationalities, such as Jamaicans, are known to have a higher prevalence of the sprint gene than other groups. Genes are also involved in determining the length of a person's Achilles, tendons, and toes. Good sprinters have shorter tendons than expected for their height, and their toes are proportionately longer. This allows their calf muscles to do more work in the acceleration phase of the sprint. But training is also important in bringing out the best in what a sprinter has inherited. It can make muscles stronger but also improves their ability to store energy in the form of creatine phosphate, a substance that allows them to produce short, powerful bursts of muscle activity. So that's it, science behind sprinting. So do like, share, comment about this video, and if you have any doubts about this science behind the sports series, you can just comment to me, and let's meet in the next video with next science behind concept in sports. Until then, goodbye from Sam. Take care.